سب سے پہلے تو شکریہ سب لوگوں کا جنہوں نے رجسٹر کیا. تقریباً ماشاء اللہ ہمارے پاس 20 لوگ تھے. جو میں ارادہ تھا کہ میکسیمم لوگ ہو سکتے ہیں جو میں تاکہ زیادہ لوگ نہ ہو اور ہر کسی کو چانس ملے کہ ایگزیکٹلی وہ کام کر سکیں. ایٹ دی اینڈ آف دا کورس میں سب سے جو ہے وہ ایک اور ٹیک کر لوں گا تاکہ پتہ چل جائے کہ سب 20 لوگوں نے اٹینڈ کیا, کچھ لوگوں سے کام کر جاتا ہے. انشاءاللہ جو لوگ رہ گئے ہیں اس کا پھر دوبارہ بھی ہم یہ کورس ارینج کریں گے, اور جو لوگ لیڈیز ہیں انشاءاللہ ان کے لیے بھی جو ہے کافی ویک کے کورس دوبارہ ارینج کیا جائے گا. سچویشن اس طرح ہو گئے آج ہمارا تقریباً نماز سے مغرب ٹائم تک یہ چلے گا. 4:52 پہ مغرب ہے, ہم ساتھ جب بات پڑھیں گے ان میں. تو پہلے جو ہے میں آپ کو تھوڑا سا ادارے کی سروسز کے بارے میں کہ کیا فیوزل سے ریلیٹڈ جو ہم سروس پرووائڈ کرتے ہیں اس کے بارے میں بتاؤں گا. اور پھر ہمارے ساتھ ڈاکٹر اسد موجود ہیں جو کہ والد سلام سیمیٹری جو ہے اس کے ون آف انچارجز, اور ہی گاٹ آف ایکسپیرینس ان ڈیلنگ ود ویریس فیوزل ریلیٹڈ آئٹمس. تو وہ جو آپ کے آفیشیل پروسیجرز ہیں, گریو یارڈ پروسیجرز ہیں, ہاسپٹل کے پروسیجرز ہیں, اس کے بارے میں بتائیں گے فار اباؤٹ ہاف این آور. وہ کوشچنز جو ہے آپ ساتھ ساتھ جو ہے کوشچن کر سکتے ہیں اگر کوئی بھی بات ہو, اور چاہے انگلش اردو دونوں ہم میڈیم یوز کریں گے اس کے اندر. اس کے بعد جو ہے مولانا حسن عباس صاحب جو ہے انشاءاللہ ہمارے پاس لائیو یہاں پہ ڈمی موجود ہے. تو میت کے جو احکام ہوتے ہیں, شرعی جو احکام ہیں ان کے بارے میں گفتگو کریں گے, اور ساتھ ساتھ جو ہے ہمارے قاضی بھائی ہیں اور اسلم بھائی ہیں وہ ایکچولی آپ کو جو ہے وہ کر کے دکھاتے بھی رہیں گے کہ کس طریقے سے جو مولانا بتا رہے ہیں کس طریقے سے ہوتا ہے. پھر ہمارے پاس ایک چانس ہوگا کہ جو لوگ ہیں وہ خود سے بھی ہینڈز آن اگر کرنا چاہیں تو اس ڈمی کے اوپر جو ہے وہ پریکٹس کر سکتے ہیں. کوشچن آنسر جو ہے وہ تھرو آؤٹ ہمارا چلتا رہے گا. اور اینڈ میں جو ہے میں نے اسلم بھائی سے اور قاضی بھائی سے بات کی ہے تھوڑا سا 10 منٹ جو ہے کیونکہ پریکٹیکلی جو ہے حامد بھائی ہے, قاضی بھائی ہے, موسیٰ بھائی ہے, اسلم بھائی, یہ لوگ پریکٹیکلی انوالو ہوتے ہیں ہر فیوزل میں. تو یہ تھوڑا سا آپ کے ساتھ ایکسپیرینسز شیئر کریں گے کہ مطلب جو ریئل گراؤنڈ پہ جو پرابلمس ہوتی ہے وہ کیا ہو سکتی ہیں, کس طرح ہینڈل کیا جائے اور کیا ہوگا. تو جو فرسٹ میرا پارٹ ہے ادارے کی سروسز کے سلسلے میں, ادارے کے پاس ماشاء اللہ سے اب سب لوگ یہاں پہ جانے والے ہیں جو لوگ نئے ہیں اگر ان کے لیے کہ پوری جو ایک ون اسٹاپ شاپ ہے فیوزل کے لیے, یعنی ہر قسم کی سروس یہاں پہ موجود ہے. لاسٹ ایئر سے ہمارے پاس برڈس کا بھی انتظام ہو گیا جو کہ پہلے ہمیں بورو کرنی پڑتی تھی دوسرے سینٹر سے. تو ہوتا یہ کہ ادارے کی مینجمنٹ ٹیم میں سے میں اور حامد بھائی مین ہے, اس کے علاوہ کسی کو بھی جو ہے فون کال کر کے آپ کسی بھی ڈیتھ کا نوٹیفائی کر سکتے ہیں یا پروسپیکٹیو ڈیتھ کا نوٹیفائی کر سکتے ہیں. ضروری نہیں ہے کہ انتقال کے بعد بھی اگر کبھی ہوتا ہے کہ انسان کو پہلے سے پریپریشن کرنی ہو اس کی تو آپ ہم سے پوچھ سکتے ہیں کیا پروسیجر ہے, کیا اویلیبلٹی ہے, کس طرح کا سسٹم ہے. لیکن انشاءاللہ کبھی بھی ایسا نہیں ہوگا کوئی چیز نہ ہو سکے. یہاں پہ جو بھی ریکوائرمنٹ ہوگی رات دن یا جس قسم کا بھی ٹائم ہے تو ہم لوگ ہر وقت اس وقت اویلیبل ہیں اور آپ فون کر کے جو ہے وہ معلومات کر سکتے ہیں. تو اگر کوئی بھی اس طرح کی ڈیٹیل معلومات چاہیے ہو یا کوئی رپورٹ کرنی ہو کہ ڈیتھ ہونے والی ہے یا ہو چکی ہے تو آپ مجھے یا حامد رضا کو یا کسی بھی ٹیم ممبر کو جو ہے کانٹیکٹ کر سکتے ہیں. ڈائریکٹ ویب سائٹ پر کیلنڈر پر باہر آپ کو کانٹیکٹ مل جائیں گے. ہمارے پاس جو ہے وہ یہاں پہ ہرس موجود ہے جو کہ فیونرل کارڈ کا انگلش میں اس کو ہرس کہا جاتا ہے, میت گاڑی. اور یہیں پہ ادارے میں پارک رہتے ہیں. ہمارے پاس فل اس کا پرمٹ ہے 1 سال کا, تو وہ قریب بھی پارک رہتی ہے. جب بھی کوئی اس طرح کی بات ہوتی ہے تو 2 اس کی جرنیز انوالو ہوتی ہیں. ایک جو ہوتی ہے وہ باڈی کو لے کے آنے کی ہوتی ہے جو کہ کسی ہاسپس سے, کسی کے گھر سے, ہاسپٹل سے, مورچری سے, کہیں سے بھی لائی جا سکتی ہے باڈی. تو ابھی ہم لوگ یہاں سے ویلز تک جو ہے وہ مینچسٹر تک گئے باڈیز لینے کے لیے. تو کہیں پہ بھی جو ہے وہ اگر ہو تو انشاءاللہ جو ہے وہاں سے جا کے لے کے آ سکتے ہیں باڈی کو. اور ہمارے عورتوں کے ظاہر بات عورتیں بچے سب جو ہے اس میں انکلوڈیڈ ہیں. پہلی جرنی یہ ہوتی ہے اور دوسری جرنی جو ہے جب اس کو واپس گریو یارڈ تک لے کے جانا. تو یہ دونوں سروسز جو ہیں یہاں پہ موجود ہیں. ان کی جو ڈیٹیلز ہیں پرائسز وغیرہ جو کہ وہ پھر ہم اس کے بعد میں بات کر سکتے ہیں, لیکن ابھی فی الحال یہ اویلیبل ہے. ادارے کے پاس جو ہے وہ اپنی کولڈ اسٹوریج ہے. ابھی انشاءاللہ اسی کورس کے اینڈ میں جو ہے میں آپ کو چھوٹا سا ٹور بھی کرا دوں گا سمجھ کے ساتھ کہ آپ دیکھ لیں گے ایگزیکٹ کون سی جگہ ہے جہاں پہ سارے کام ہوتے ہیں, کیا کیا چیزیں اویلیبل ہیں وہاں پہ ہم لوگ کس طرح کام کرتے ہیں. کولڈ اسٹوریج جو ہے وہ ہمارے پاس اویلیبل ہے. اور جی جب ڈاکٹرس سے ہم نے جو تقریباً 1 ہفتے تک 3 باڈیز کی اس میں جگہ ہے اور ہم کہیے 1 ہفتے تک جو ہے وہ تقریباً اس میں جو ہے باڈی رکھی جا سکتی ہے. جن لوگوں کے رشتے دار دیر سے آنے ہوں یا کوئی اس طرح کی شروع تو کوشش کرتے ہیں لیکن جلدی سے جلدی احکام میرا سے یہ ہمارا صاحب بتائیں گے جلدی سے جلدی اس میں دفن کیا جائے. لیکن ہم اس کو یہاں پہ رکھ سکتے ہیں 3 باڈیز کو جو ہے ایک ساتھ رکھ سکتے ہیں. ماشاء اللہ سے پروفیشنل انڈسٹریل لیول کا جو ہے وہ کولڈ اسٹوریج یہاں پہ موجود ہے. कुछ सिमेट्रीज की रिक्वायरमेंट होती है, डॉक्टर सर स्पीकर करेंगे, बॉक्सेस में ग्रेव में रखा जाए, कुछ में डायरेक्ट रख सकते हैं। तो हमारे पास जो है बॉक्स की भी सर्विस अवेलेबल है कि आप यहाँ से बॉक्स भी हासिल कर सकते हैं। डिफरेंट टाइप्स के बॉक्सेज हैं, एक पीछे भी रखा हुआ है, तो आप ज़्यादा उसको देखेंगे। इसके अलावा गुस्ल और कफन का पूरा इंतजाम है यहाँ पे। तो कफन जो स्टैंडर्ड कफन होता है वो अवेलेबल है, और गुस्ल के लिए भी जो माशाल्लाह से टीम है पूरी। एक चीज़ मैं ये चाहूँगा, जब एंड हो जाए हमारे यहाँ पे, तो जितने भी लोग हैं हमारे यहाँ पे जो लोग हैं उन सब का एक ग्रुप बने SMS का, और जब भी कोई डेथ हो तो हम उसको अनाउंस करें अपने ग्रुप में, और जो भी अवेलेबल हो आ जाए। जो एक्चुअल आपको पता चलेगा हैंड्स ऑन काम करने का रियलिटी में, वो यहाँ पे वो चीज़ नहीं हो सकती 99% एक्यूरेट, बट नॉट एग्जैक्टली वो तो आप जो है सबको नोटिफाई हो जाएगा कि भाई इस दिन जो है वो यहाँ पे फ्यूनरल हो रहा है। जो भी अटेंड कर सकता है वो आके करे और हमारे साथ दे। इसमें कोई वो नहीं है कि मतलब कोई नहीं कर सकता, फैमिली भी साथ देती है उनका, हम लोग भी होते हैं, जो भी आए सबसे वो आप ले सकते हैं। इसी तरह जो भी छोटी छोटी चीज़ें होती हैं, अभी सब आपको चीज़ों में पता चलेगा, काफ़ी हुई जो भी फ्यूनरल में रिक्वायरमेंट्स होती है वो सब चीज़ें हमारे पास मौजूद है। और आखिरी चीज़ है जो ग्रेव्स हैं, तो यूजुअली जो है वो 2 कब्रिस्तान हैं यहाँ पे करीब में, एक वादी सलाम में स्टेफन में, और दूसरा क्रिकलवुड जो सिमेट्री है उधर है। तो हम जो उसके थ्रू भी अरेंज कर सकते हैं। अगर आपको ग्रेव की बुकिंग करें तो हमारे रब्ता करें। हम डायरेक्टली ग्रेव्स में डील नहीं करते, लेकिन जो आपको कब्रिस्तान की अथॉरिटीज से मिला सकते हैं, वो आपसे फिर डायरेक्ट ग्रेव की जो भी बात होती है वो आपसे अरेंज कर सकते हैं। कोई क्वेश्चन इस सिलसिले में? डॉक्टर मैंने बात की इदारे की सर्विसेज के बारे में, कोर्स के बारे में।
कॉन्टैक्ट डिटेल्स अगर आप प्रोवाइड कर दें।
कॉन्टैक्ट डिटेल्स जो है वो हमारे, हम लोग 12 लोग हैं कमेटी में, और मौलाना आसिम अब्बास की तो ये इदारे की वेबसाइट है idara.org.uk, उसमें मैनेजमेंट के सेक्शन में आपको मिल जाएगी। हमारा कैलेंडर होता है उसके पीछे मौजूद है, नोटिस बोर्ड पर लगी है, और आप चाहें तो डायरेक्ट मुझसे नंबर ले सकते हैं। किसी को भी जो है वो आप डिटेल्स ठीक है। तो मैं डॉक्टर असद से रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा कि आप जो अपने प्रोसीजर हैं, काफ़ी माशाल्लाह बहुत एक्सपीरियंस है, बहुत कम्युनिटी की सर्विस कर रहे हैं फॉर लॉन्ग टाइम। और अगेन लाइक जब भी जिस टाइम पे भी ज़रूरत होती है ये अवेलेबल होता है, तो हम इनके शुक्रगुजार हैं फॉर द कम्युनिटी, फ्रॉम द कम्युनिटी साइड, एंड देन वी कैन जस्ट शेयर दिस एक्सपीरियंस।
What I'll do when you actually go into the post, then I'll come Assalamu alaikum. Very nice to see such a large gathering of interested people wanting to help the community and get informed and learn about the funeral process, which obviously entails from the moment a person dies to the moment is buried, and is quite a lot of details to take on board and learn. And I hope, inshallah, all of you will take part gradually with the help of Resident Alim and all the other helpers who are well experienced to help and guide all of you. And I hope that when you go back into your communities, into your families, you will encourage everyone to take part and at least learn what the process is, because I'm sure Maulana will agree, it's a duty of all Muslims to be aware of and help and take part in the funeral process and the burial of your fellow mu'min. When a death occurs in the family, it's obviously a very sad and traumatic experience for everyone concerned. So our job as coordinators and representatives of the mosque or the community centre is to make the process of the funeral as easy and as non-worrying for the next of kin and family members. And in that, there are several stages that we have to go through. And our job obviously is that we leave the family and the next of kin to grieve as they wish, so that this process of the funeral is a very easygoing, seamless process for them. We have various stages, as I said. the first stage, if I can say that soon as we are informed of a death, we liaise, coordinate with the family member who wishes to keep in contact with us and ask where obviously the death has occurred. If it's in a hospital, which we call stage 1, we have to inform the next of kin to obtain the cause of death certificate from the doctors who have attended that patient. Once we either help them or instruct them to liaise with the doctors to get that cause of death certificate, which sometimes the doctors will issue themselves, and others we have to liaise with the register office at the hospital to obtain that certificate, which may be on the same day as the death or the very next day when the duty doctors are available to give that certificate. In the event that the doctors cannot reach a cause of death of the patient, then they will refer the case to the coroner's office, and that obviously may delay the process and the burial either one day or several days, depending on what the coroner's findings are. Then we just have to wait for the coroner to finish his findings. He will then authorize an autopsy, which is called post-mortem examination, to find the definitive cause of death. And after that, he will release the body. If it's in the hand of coroners, he will issue a burial certificate, release of the body for burial certificate. So on either case, either we get the cause of death certificate from the hospital or the release of body for burial from the coroner's office. Then the stage 2 is when we assist the next of kin to go and have the death registered at the local council by the registrar of birth, deaths and marriages. He will take those forms that you have either from the coroner or the hospital, keep those, and in turn issue his own death certificate after registering the death. And also he will issue a green form which allows the body to be buried. Without that green form, the cemetery will not allow a burial. So that's a very important, and it's usually labeled coloured green for specific purposes to make it prominent.
So this green form is a certificate?
It's a burial certificate. It's usually referred to informally as a green form, but it's specifically for allowing the body to be buried in a cemetery. There are sort of exceptions along the way of obtaining these certificates, and before that, some deaths are not as easily processed as this. Some of them are caused by either accidents or long-term illness, and they form a part of an inquest, which is done by the coroner's office. In an inquest due to an accident or suspicious death, the coroner will instigate an inquest, and he may order a post-mortem, after which he will release an interim certificate for burial. But the registrar of the council cannot issue a death certificate as a final version until the inquest has been completed. But sometimes we are allowed to collect the body after the coroner has issued an interim burial certificate, so that we can complete the process while the inquest is going on, as long as the coroner is satisfied that he has a probable cause of death for that patient. Once the registration of the death is done at the council, with the green form, we can then inform the mosque or the community centre to go ahead with the Ghusl and further preparations. And in the meantime, while the Ghusl is going on, one of us from the community or the funeral service will inform the cemetery to have the grave prepared, and specific grave prepared and ready, sometimes for the afternoon, sometimes for the next morning, depending on when we have collected the body. In the meantime, the process of collecting the body, either from the hospital, and when we come to another stage, or if the person dies at home, what happens? The collection of the body can occur from, as Ali referred to earlier, from the hospital, the hospice, the coroner's office, mortuary, or the home. And for that, obviously, we have to have the hearse ready with a driver, and having made sure beforehand that the hearse is drivable for short distances, greater distances, as we've had experience in the past. Again, the hearse goes out. Most of the times, the driver with an assistant goes out, sometimes accompanied by a next of kin or a family member for ease of convenience. The body is brought back to the mosque or the community centre where the Ghusl can start. And in the meantime, in the background, the coordinators can inform the cemetery, inform the next of kin as to what's happening, and also one of us from the coordination team will sit down with the next of kin or their representative to fill up formal application forms for the whole process. If I can pass this round while I'm talking, you can have a look at this application form. Throughout my talk, I will be passing around various official documents and pieces of paper just to familiarise yourselves with what is entailed in the whole coordination process. Any questions so far?
Total, how many certificates are needed? I mean, like you said, one green form and one the...
Yes, it's the official death certificate and a green form from the registrar. That is the beginning part. The green form, as I said, is important for allowing the burial to take place, and the green form is handed to the cemetery office. I'll come along afterwards about what to do about copies. No, the registrar. Yeah, the registrar of the council. The cause of death certificate that we get from the doctors from the hospital or the release form from the coroners, the registrar keeps, the council registrar, they keep that cause, and then they issue this death certificate for us to keep, or for the next of kin to keep, and then we keep copies for our process.
The question again is not related, but if the person is not resident over here, so like someone coming from Pakistan, for example, or India, and he died while in a care of a hospital, do we have to go through any of this process at all? Not talking about the burial, but the actual reporting of death and anything else?
Yes, any death, regardless of origin of the person, because the death occurred in the United Kingdom, it is notifiable. Even if it's going to be flown abroad, because by law it's required that death has occurred and they need to be satisfied. The law needs to be satisfied of how the death occurred, and only then if they're satisfied and issued for, after various processes a death certificate, then he will allow an export certificate to be issued by the registrar.
If somebody brings their body here, so you have to ask them to provide these certificates.
If the body is brought
So somebody bring it here
from
by
where?
himself. If somebody brings the body here, we don't collect. Somebody bring here.
Yes.
So you have to ask these certificates before.
Oh, yes,
being
yes,
associated.
yes, yes. Whoever brings the body to us as coordinators, we have to ensure and confirm where did the body come from, where it died, and has it been registered, officially registered. And we cannot touch the body for burial or any process until this has been registered and this has been issued. It may be that while this is going on, we may be able to carry out Ghusl Kafan and have the body prepared while all this is going on. But we cannot then do anything with the body, export it or bury it without these official things being raised. Any other question?
Yeah. Is it ever happened that family initiate the process of graveyard and then change their mind and want to take the body abroad? What happened in that case?
Yes, yes,
graveyard reserve-
it has happened once or twice, very rarely, but it does happen that they can't make up their mind and eventually decide to have the body flown abroad. Then we still have to register the body because it died here, the person died here. We have to register it and then apply to the council for an export of the body, export license. That we are not too familiar with, and we have certain numbers and people who take care of that side of that. So we can always pass those messages on to the appropriate office.
Do they have to pay the reservation fees towards the grave because it's already been digged? So do they have to pay the fee towards the grave or?
No.
Because they instigate the process by ringing you first. And
Yeah, if they instigate the process, obviously we will go as far as we have to, and whenever they change their mind, supposing they change their mind after we've reserved the grave or after we've had kafan and Ghusl and kafan, then they change their mind. Nothing actually has been committed, to beyond point of return. So there's nothing involved in undoing it. The payment doesn't necessarily need to happen until after the burial. I'll come to that later. Okay. And as far as the digging of the grave is concerned, most of the graves obviously require digging, but that can always be kept for another burial sometime in the future, where they easily cover it. As far as Wadi Islam is concerned, and one or two other cemeteries in the UK, they have prefabricated graves ready for burial, and for that, if this incident occurs, that the body needs to be thrown back, all they do is place the slabs back, and it's ready for the next time. So nothing actually has been committed, which is not returnable. Right, when the body's brought back and the Ghusl is being done, we would ask the next of kin to fill up these forms, have them ready, and if they wish, they can have the payments made at that time, so we get that out of the way. And the gravesite is ready, the grave is ready, they have been informed, and all we need to do now is wait for the Ghusl and Kafan process to finish, and we would ask the resident Talib to say the Namaz-e-Janaza, which up to now has always been taking place immediately after the Zohrain Namaz. And it's quite flexible and adaptable in this country that we can pick and choose these times. And most of the time it's usually for convenience really, after Zohrain Namaz, so immediately after that Namaz-e-Janaza is done, few prayers, and then we can proceed after that to the designated cemetery. And as Ali pointed out, we're very privileged in this country to have various cemeteries all over London, all over the country. And as far as we're concerned down here, we've got Rowan Road Cemetery, we've got Brookwood Cemetery, and very Morden Cemetery, which is very popular, and various cemeteries in North London that we can take advantage of, depending on where the family came from and the person who died and where they wish them to be married. So in that way, we're quite flexible and accommodating. Don't forget, we are not providing a service specifically for this mosque or this community or Idara. We hope we are providing a service for every Muslim who wishes to have the service, take advantage of the service, and then we can accommodate and coordinate this service for any cemetery. And obviously we can liaise with the cemetery people and any other community centre in helping them to do this. And we have various experienced people, our own Resident Talim, Kazim Bhai and others who have tremendous experience in coordinating from other organizations so that the whole process goes seamless and smooth, helping the next of kin as much as possible. Okay. Then after we go along to the cemetery in the hearse, and as I've already mentioned about the hearse, having the hearse prepared and ready. For this, the burial process takes place in between while the Ghusl process is going on. Then, although sometimes we take it for granted that Resident Dalim will be there for namaz-e-janaza and going to the cemetery to do the talqeen, sometimes he has commitments and he can only do the namaz-e-janaza as he's not available for the talqeen. So it's our, what we have to do is then ask another Resident Dalim if they're available to carry on the process in the cemetery to do talqeen. But we have, again, so much advantage, and we're privileged that we have so many Resident Alims, so many Zakirs and Alims freelance in and around London, that we should request them to do either both or one of the services, namaz-e-janaza or the talqeen, rather than leaving it to any other experienced mu'min to read. It has been done. Anyone can, competent enough to read the talqeen at the graveside. You agree or not? Anyone can do that. But because we are privileged, because we have so many alims and scholars around, in and around London, then we should really try as much as possible as coordinators to engage one of these alims to complete the process. Okay. It is good for the centre and the mosque and the coordinating team to make sure we do that, and is good and satisfying for the next of kin and family that the blessings and the prayers for the deceased have been done in a professional way. Okay. So if things are available, then we must take advantage of them. Any question? Yeah? Right. Once we get to the cemetery and the burial process is starting, then it's the chance or the duty of the Resident Talim to take over and coordinate the actual burial process. And as much as we can help it, it should be the Resident Talim who conducts the actual funeral service at the graveside, giving instructions, requesting people what to do, and as Maulana will explain, the various people actually involved in the burial process should be as close as possible to the deceased. Son, brother, father, etc., etc. And the Resident Talim and other experienced members will be there to help and guide the immediate family to complete that. During all this process, there are exceptions to the rule, sometimes the cemetery, what we have done in the recent past, in the old days, it was Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and nothing can be done outside those hours. I'm talking about 20, 30 years ago. But over the years, due to our pressure, Muslim community pressure, not just ours, Muslim community pressure, the councils, the coroners, the hospitals have allowed for us to bury at out of office hours, which has now become common practice, and we at Rowan Road and at Brookwood Cemetery and Morden Cemetery have buried people late in the evening and also at weekends, Saturday and Sunday. It's all a matter of diplomacy and powers of persuasion we have to use, but in a very diplomatic way, so we can persuade the official authorities to allow us to do that. As far as they're concerned, we think that it's our right to bury somebody as quickly as possible, 24/7. But sometimes it's not practically possible to do that. So we have to compromise and work along with the authorities as much as possible. But due to, through powers of persuasion, they are very accommodating, and if we take it stage by stage, the hospital will have people on hand, if informed in advance, to issue that cause of death certificate, even in the evening, early morning, and at the weekends, because doctors are on duty all the time, 24/7. If not that evening, we can always collect it the first thing in the morning. And then, if it happens to be a Saturday or Sunday, if we inform the registrar's office or the council that we will be coming to register a death Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon or even Sunday, they will give us an emergency number to call either personally the registrar or through the local police. They will then coordinate with the registrar to contact us, and they will give us a time and place to go and have the death registered. So they will accommodate us, and we have done registration throughout Saturdays and Sundays to get these certificates done. So things are becoming very, very easy for us to get closer and closer to the direction of Sharia to bury someone as quickly as possible. Okay. We also mustn't dig our heels in and say, no, our Sharia requires burial as quickly as possible, so we do everything, oppose everything, and stamp our feet up and down saying, no, we want this certificate right now because our Islamic law says that. What we have to do is study our Islamic law. It is not law as such, it is a recommendation that we bury the body, and they have specific reasons. We have specific reasons through Sharia for burying the body as quickly as possible. Mainly because to prevent decay or to reduce and cut down the decay process before burial of the body. The second main reason is if the body is remaining outside, the decay process, sometimes depending how ill the person was, will be starting very fast and it will be visible. The decaying process sometimes becomes visible, and then that is not very dignified for the deceased person or the family. So that's again another reason. The third reason is to give closure of the whole process as quickly as possible for the immediate satisfaction of the family and next of kin. Yeah, so they can go on to the next stage of grieving, etc., etc. Okay?
Obviously, this whole process is dependent on the digging part as well. So are these diggers available all the time?
Yes, like I mentioned before, when we communicate with the cemetery, we ask them to have a specific grave ready, and also to have, through the grave diggers, not just have it ready, but be available at the time of burial, so that when we have finished burying the person, they can come in and finish the process for us.
So it should be nights or weekends or anything.
Yes,
they are
yes.
there.
As long as we have informed them, even the night before or afternoon before, that this is going to happen Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning. Usually up to now, we haven't had a refusal. There's always one or two people on duty to help. Where we have had refusal or nobody has been available, then we can't help it, but it's our job to try as much as possible. Where we can't help it, then unfortunately, after the Ghusl Kafan process has occurred, all we can do is place the body, when it's ready, in the cold storage, which we have available here, and at Hyderabad and other centres. They all have, a lot of centres have these cold storage facilities until the next day or the next working day, when these people are available to complete the process for us. So nothing is impossible, and again, we should always have in the forefront of our mind how much we are adhering as close as possible to the requirements of the Sharia. That should always be borne in front of us. Right. After the burial process, again, we bury the body and come out. The comforting side and the coordinating side we complete by liaising with the next of kin to ask if there's any other process they would like assistance on. And one thing I forgot to mention, that the registrar, when we go to register the body, gives another couple of forms for the next of kin to inform the local authority about the death, their banks and the benefit services, which we can always remind the next of kin about. Passports have to be returned to the passport office. Sometimes we don't, the next of kin don't realize all of this, so it's handy to just remind them to bear this in mind in the near future, to put all these things in the process. Passports, I think, are required by law to be returned, same as any pension allowance books and anything to do with benefits. They're required by law to be informed. Otherwise, people get into trouble.
Does that include the licenses, the driving license?
I'm not too sure about you have to inform the DVLA about that. And I think you have to return it or destroy it or something like that. But the passport definitely is required to be returned by law.
And what about the foreigners? What about the foreigners? If someone died here and is exporting to Pakistan or somewhere, do they need the passport as well? Those kind of things?
No, obviously that passport has to accompany the body back to its original country. And then it's up to the people of the next of kin and in that country to do what is required by law there.
So I mean, for this airport, for those kind of things, you have to shoot as well.
Yes. But the administrators at the whatever the Home Office is who arranges the export of the body, they will give full instructions what's required and what the process is.
So, at the cemetery when we're taking the body in, is there like a cemetery management as well, or is it just Wali Salam management that's fully responsible for the whole area?
No. The coordination and the burial we are responsible for, and as I mentioned, these there is another form, sorry, I'm interrupting the flow. There's another form that we have to get the next of kin to fill in, we have to fill in, with the deceased details and the cemetery details, and this form is to be handed to the cemetery office together with the green form, after keeping a copy of this, which allows for record purposes for the cemetery itself. So this is the only form that the cemetery needs to have returned after completion.
Will you do that, or will you do that, or you expect the family to do it?
We usually do that. We usually do that. The only thing that we expect the family to complete is the form that I'm passing around to you, which is to do with us, the coordinating group. And I think there's a form for Idara that the next of kin and the family have to complete, mostly for record purposes. Okay. This is these two I'll pass around. You can just see. Yes, yes, very important. Yeah, very important point is when the family contacts us to start this process and assist them, we in turn have to request the next of kin or the family members to select one of their member to contact us, and only that person or the immediate their assistants or whatever, so that we don't get phone calls and requests from various members, however distant or close they are. That only goes to confusing the issue and confusing the process throughout the coordination. One person says one thing, and then the information comes to us, and we go along to start doing that, and somebody else says, no, we wanted it this way, we wanted it that way. Yeah. The other one other thing I omitted is we always should ask the next of kin before the Ghusl and Kafan process takes place if the deceased had left a specific kafan to be used at the time of preparing the kafan for the body. Sometimes they forget, and then I think the only thing they can do then is drape it over the body afterwards. But there are certain parts for inside and outside, etc. Any questions?
So in terms of facilitating the export, do you have to inform the respective embassy of the country as well? Do they need to get involved at any stage? And what's the process with the airlines? Do you need a special certificate or a special
Yes,
license?
yes. Every one of those things, I don't know about the embassy, but
we actually need to arrange a company, a logistics company, and
Yes.
they take care of the whole
that's
process.
right. There are various companies
You've got
who
specific
will
one.
take care of the whole process from A to Z of that process. And this, I think we've got various numbers that we can pass on to people if required.
We can arrange that for you.
Yeah.
before it comes.
That's right. All we do then is, depending on what the next of kin want and what the deceased person's wishes were, whether Maulana will either provide more information about that, whether the Ghusl and Kafan process can take place here first, or we send the body as it is, and they will do the Kafan, the Ghusl and the Kafan at the point of receiving the body.
Oh.
I think it's a choice with the family or the deceased, isn't it? It's not obligatory this way. Yeah, I'm coming to that.
ये देखना पड़ेगा उस सिचुएशन में डिपेंड करेगा.
Yes.
How is the body?
That's right. Now, there's one more thing about embalming and sending